Hey, thank you for listening to the new episode of the Bad Patches podcast, episode 6, title pending. So today, just wanted to talk about what I did over the weekend. My wife had to work, so I ended up having a day with my son, which went pretty well. I took him to a museum over here in San Diego, and we got there early because parking in that area is always like really terrible. And so we just kind of walked around, and I remember back when I used to go, maybe like, I don't know, 5 years ago, because we hadn't visited that place in quite a bit. I remember there was a lot more people just walking around on skateboards and on those whatchamacallits, the rent to use bikes. I forgot what they're called. The scooters. There you go. And now it was like dead. It was like just a few people, selling some books about religion, and some other people doing like Tai Chi or meditation. But it didn't feel alive like it used to. Like, I feel like, I don't know, it's just dead. And then once the museum opened, that kind of went by pretty quick. I feel like they don't update them that often. Like, I'm pretty sure it had the exact same things it did from the last time we went there. So I don't know, that part was kind of lame. We usually watch a little movie that they play out. So like after we did the things we had to do inside the museum, which takes an hour, then the usual movie starts. So I went, got popcorn, got a drink, and then while we were waiting in line, the lady said, "Oh, like, this one is not a movie. Like, the first one today is like this lecture," and everybody's like kind of like waiting in line and then going out of the line and figuring out what else to do, because it's for kids. Like, a kid's not going to sit through a lecture. They barely sit through the movie, right? So now I have a full bag of popcorn and a drink and no movie to watch. So I kind of just sat down, ate a little bit, and then I was like, do you want to watch the movie? Do you not want to watch the movie? Like, what do you want to do? Because waiting another hour after we did everything sounded like it sounded quite daunting to me, because he's not very patient, and so I figured it would have been a struggle. So he decided that he wanted to wait, so we kind of just did everything like once more, and this time it took even less time, so like 30 minutes. And then those noises are coming from my computer because I am recording this as I work. I just lowered the volume. I forgot to do that. Anyway, so back to that. So we kind of did everything again, and this time it took us 30 minutes, but we missed a little area that has like this ball pit. And, the kids take turns. I guess they play for 5 minutes, and then they let that group out and then put another group in, right? And he was waiting in line. I typically, I'm always beside him. He's a little older now, so he's 6, so I kind of figured like he would be fine on his own. So I kind of just I was keeping an eye on him, and he was waiting in line, and eventually he kind of got tired of waiting, and then he got out of the line. He was like, I was like, "Oh, it's almost your time." He was like, "No, I don't want to wait anymore." And I was like, "What?" And then they started to go in, and he's like, No, it's okay, I don't want to do it." And I'm like, "Oh, well, we have 30 minutes left. Like, what else do you want to do?" So we just wandered around, and then I gave that ball pit another try. And same thing, like, he sat there waiting, and when it was his turn, he just gave up. So he's like not very patient, which is pretty crazy, right? And that was about it. Then we kind of watched the movie, and then after that we walked around the park again, which is it's a pretty big area. Balboa Park is pretty huge, So we did that again. We found some musicians playing some tunes. We saw some people dressed up as like a statue or something, and then you gave them money and they would move or whatever. So it was good and all. We walked around a bit more, and finally I called it when we took this little trail and ended up in the parking lot. And I was like, "Yep, this is a sign. Let's get the fuck out of here." So we just took off. But the whole experience is that the museum can get a little expensive. Like, getting in was I think was like $40 for just two of us. And then inside the museum they have like this VR area, and that was like $10 for one VR ride in space. He seemed to enjoy that. And then after that, whatever you spend in the movies, which is another like $10 for the popcorn and the drink. But like there's not much to do, like and then it was filled with adults, and they wouldn't let like kids like use the things. I'm not saying like you can't visit museums as grown-ups, but that museum is marketed for kids. It's like a science center for kids. Like, everything is aimed for them. Like, there's little Lego pieces so they can build a rover, or there's like a simulation of like a gravity well where they throw marbles, and and then there's this other area where you can make music on a little digital drum machine and stuff like that. But anytime that you would want to go to like the good ones where you would be entertained, and it was just like a bunch of teenagers or people in their late 20s like messing around, and I'm like, dude, like, get the fuck out of here. Like, just let the kids use them. Like, we all had to wait. Like, all the parents there, we all had to wait for like a group of 5 adults to get their turn on this kids science project. So it really bugged me. And after the first letdown, after that first hour, where we had to wait another hour for the other movie to start, like, it got packed. Like, there was a lot of more people, and a vast majority were all grown-ups, and it got to a point where you couldn't even move around. And it got me thinking, because the past times when we've gone, it's usually just that, you tour the museum for an hour, you watch the movie and get out, right? But this time, like, none of the kids watched the first portion because it was a lecture. So all the other parents that had kids waited until it was time for the other movie to start at noon, because it was really packed. Like there was a bunch of people in there. And I think it's the first time that I've seen it, like, the IMAX, and they have in there at full capacity, because we all stayed. Like, we want that crappy 30-minute movie about some whales. Yeah, that was about it. And I don't know, like, it just, I don't know. I searched for other museums. I think I'm gonna take him to quite a few. There's a bunch here. Hopefully, like, the other ones are a little better. We've been to like the Natural History Museum and some other stuff, but you just kind of look at it at things. I think that's why there's the ones that you target at kids, where they kind of get to press buttons and play around. That's why the zoo is good. The zoo is great for looking at animals and everything. They have a little play area. They have a little water area. They have the Skyfari. They got the bus ride. That has a lot more things to do. And in a museum, my kid's not gonna read through like what this little project is. He wants to press the button, look at the little electricity or whatever light needs to turn on, and that's kind of what entertains them. And then apart from that, the other thing that kind of got brought up was my son. I think I mentioned in our last episode that he's been feeling a little bit more emotional when I drop him off at school. And he's getting a little bit more of like that anxiety, separation anxiety. And like he's brought up my health. Like I'm not disgustingly obese, but I am overweight, and he knows that I do have certain medical conditions like high blood pressure. So lately he's kind of been telling me like, oh, you should exercise, or maybe you shouldn't eat that much candy, Dad, or this and that. It's kind of like it puts life in perspective that now he's he's starting to worry about me. And as a kid, I would worry about my mom and my siblings. So I don't want him to grow up with having that part of his life where he's a kid worrying about the health of his parents. So I'm gonna power through, try to exercise and eat better. I definitely try and get him involved in these activities more now than before, because I also want him to see it as a positive. Like I do like going for walks. So I'm gonna try and just go with him after work, since that's the best time to go. It's not dark yet, but we can definitely do 30 minutes. And I don't know, that's just something that kind of it's creating a space in my head, that he worries about it. I also obviously started thinking about what would happen if I do die. Like, how are they gonna cope? We are a 2-income household, and it's expensive to live in California. So I know that if I'm out, my wife will definitely struggle paying bills, and then obviously got funeral costs and all that. So I don't know, I'm gonna start looking into that scam about life insurance or whatever. So we'll see if I end up getting one by the time we record another episode. So that's it for today. I will try and see if I can record another episode. If you got any comments about museums and what you like, what you don't like, if you have any like a museum that you recommend in California, send it my way. Put it in the comments. And like, subscribe. Thanks for listening. Bye.